Who knows? Is it a two-parter? Did we just start this video again? We will never know. So, obviously after Ennis lobby, they go back to Water 7. Frankie, before that, Frankie, so CP9 isn't actually there for Robin. Robin just happens to be there, they notice her and they take her with them. They're actually there undercover to get the design for an ancient weapon called Pluton. Which Frankie has the blueprint.
Yes, but then he just like ends up burning them in front of them.
Yes, to troll them. After this, Frankie builds the ship for
the straw hats?
Yes. So Frankie's background story is he was, before we go on, he was abandoned by his parents. He was adopted by a cool-ass fishman. The fishman builds a cool train and the world government figures out that the fishman knows how to build Pluton, so they kidnap him. Frankie tries to body block the train. Partly because he feels responsible for the fishman getting arrested, because the government uses ships that Frankie built to frame him for a crime.
Yeah.
So Frankie tries to body block a train and almost dies. And then he turns himself into a cyborg, because his body is completely broken.
Funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
Deep Rock Galactic, thank you for your good work.
What you mean?
What?
With or without
Yeah.
Here it is.
And then they steal Frankie's panties.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have to, otherwise Frankie wouldn't have joined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Frankie joins his crew and they go on to the next island.
You could say they had him by the balls.
Actually, doesn't Garp show up?
Yeah, Garp shows up with Kobe and Helmet Pop. Yeah, Helmet.
Yeah, indeed. Helmet ball.
And we learn about Dragon there.
Yes.
We also see that Luffy's grandfather can punch Luffy and actually do blunt damage.
It is almost like there is a second power system.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
And
No
then
idea
we
why that
move on.
happens.
Anything else to add before we move on to Thriller Bark?
Let's sail the seas.
Let's sail
Also,
the seas indeed.
let's take a quick break while we discuss what next mission type are going on.
Sure. See you in a
Cut
bit.
that out.
So before we move on to Thriller Bark, we've got some other things we would like to talk about, of course. Starting off with Robin's story.
Let's get the job done.
So go ahead, guys.
Yeah, like, I mean, you get Robin's backstory during the CP9 thing. Take cover!
Also, CP9 has these interesting abilities you learn about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Robin's backstory is also really shad.
Yeah, it's there where you really get shown how deep the corruption of the world government can go.
Yeah. I mean...
Because before this you've seen, like, isolated corrupt marines, but you've not actually seen the world government do evil stuff as the world government and not just some separate captain.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see the sheer force that the world government has.
As
you
they
learn about the
wipe an entire island off of the map, including everyone on it, for figuring out historical information that they're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
Now Robin lived on that island.
She was the only one to survive,
Yes.
and that's why she's being hunted.
With and how did she survive, Barry?
Because a marine helped.
Which one?
Ice Boy.
Yes.
The lazy one.
Kuzon, ouch.
Face the pickaxe. I'm on your side. Whack-a-mole! I feel less on edge without being stiff.
Also, until she joins the crew, Robin is pretty much depressed and doesn't want to be friends with anyone.
Yeah.
She's too scared of losing them again. Like, she's traumatized, Robin is.
Yes.
One sentry gun ready to be filled.
I mean, how else would you be, you know, when you're a 9-year-old and you sink a couple of pirate ships?
I mean, she didn't do. That's a lie they made up.
Of course.
They made
Because
up
they cannot
some
say
lie.
like,
Yeah, they made up some lie that she was a demon child that was able to sink 2 old ships on her own. She didn't.
Another one. Bite. Ooh. Ah.
It's just because she managed to escape that they had to make something up to make her a wanted criminal.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotta wait for the reach. There's an apocalypse bloom here. Never felt better.
But
After Annie's lobby, the yeah, go
I
ahead.
also really love that when the scene where Luffy yells at Robin and Luffy just says, "Say that you want to live," and then when she finally does it, and then when she finally says it, Luffy just, "Hey, Sogeki, do it," and then they shoot the flag of the world government.
They declare war on the world government.
Like such an epic moment.
Chat movie. It's one of the most popular moments. Also, Rob Lucci versus Luffy is one of the most popular fights.
yes.
Got one of the annoying spreader drones.
The epic jet Gatling finish.
Yes.
We also learn a lot more about devil fruits from CP9.
Yes.
We learn about how they work. We see people get their abilities. We learn that it's impossible to have 2 of them, asterisks.
We will come at that back later.
And at the end of Annie's lobby, the crew's falling down, and the ship, seemingly by itself, was able to get there to save them.
I was born.
They start sailing out on the Going Merry.
What you get for being territorial.
Great victory, everyone's escaping, everyone's happy. And then the ship snaps in half.
And then the most saddest moments in all of One Piece.
Yeah, then the ship gets burned down to give it a proper burial.
Ready. Booyah.
And it's an amazing scene.
Fuckers.
It's a really sad scene.
Shredder. Don't get him in your beards.
Don't you agree, Barry?
It's definitely one of those scenes where it's very emotional because
Yeah, it
That's-
can get
that's
you
one
choked
thing-
up, that's it.
that's one thing that One Piece does well is One Piece isn't just a series with pirates that you just watch
Oh, One
for
Piece
the
is
action or
extremely
whatnot.
emotional.
You practically just become part of the crew,
Yeah,
and that's why everything also hits so hard. Something happens to the crew, it hits.
One Piece gets extremely emotional.
And another thing I want to hit up on before we continue, back in the Arabasta arc, when we're in the desert, we also meet Luffy's brother.
Yeah, we meet Ace.
Who is his name is Fire Fist
Yeah,
Ace.
he's after Blackbeard, who we meet in Giant.
Yeah.
That's just the most best lines ever in the series.
Station here.
Dreams never die!
Blackbeard is a pretty entertaining guy. In Jaya at least.
Lock and loaded.
Huh.
Hacking pod in position. Let's get it hooked up to the power
Is it
station.
next to it?
Chop
No.
chop team.
Carry a load well,
That's
Molly.
interesting.
Oh, hello there.
Alright, and then we move on to Thriller Bark, where we sail on to some mysterious mist, and we run into a ghost ship with a skeleton on it.
The ghost ship? Do they happen to make games
No,
with dwarfs?
no.
Well, Brooke is clearly a game developer. So we meet Brooke, who would eventually join the crew and become
Ooh,
the
the first question he asks Nami is
No, actually, let's go with the first question Luffy asks Brooke first.
oh yeah,
Do
yeah.
you put?
Yeah, cool. And then he fires back a question at Nami, and that is, may I see your panty?
Which is basically his catchphrase.
Was that supposed to hurt?
So we would learn Brooke is dead, he's a skeleton. His devil fruit is a devil fruit that brings you back to life
All these
when you
minerals around
die.
ourselves.
And he's been there for 50 years. He can't leave because an enemy pirate called Gecko Moria has stolen his shadow, which means if he goes into the sun, he dies forever.
Connection established. Activate the hacking drone when you're ready.
But was it only a shadow?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hack begun. It's noisy business and is attracting the bugs. Guard the hacking pod.
Yeah, it's that entire arc is also pretty cool.
It's a zombie arc.
Yeah.
A lot of zombies.
Also, the first zombie starts coming out of its grave, and Luffy's reaction is to just push it back down.
Back.
Yeah.
Go back.
Control on the hacking drone.
And I thought this is also like another time where they don't win.
Not at first, no.
And loaded.
Like they lose a couple of fights, which is good.
Yeah, and Luffy loses his shadow as
The
well.
hacking drone has stopped.
Yes.
Kill the
Yeah.
signals off it now.
But it was only a shadow.
Keep
The shadow gets used to make a giant,
Without the hacker
an
bot.
ancient giant, that's called,
Hacking
that
commencing
fights
again.
them, which is a cool ass fight. We meet Moria, who's the guy who can take the shadows and make the zombies. He's an interesting villain.
Both
Thoughts
on
on
the hacking
Moria?
drone.
I find him kind of annoying, but that's just because who he is.
Yeah,
Impact that.
But the character itself, like, very well written and all that.
yeah. So Moria acts like he doesn't care about things and has become lazy because he's scared to face Kaido, because he's fought Kaido before and he lost. And in fact, he didn't just lose, Kaido killed most of
Hacking
his
drone
crew.
resuming hack.
Yes.
And that made Moria very much not want to go to the New World again.
He was like, no.
We meet Ryuma, well, the zombie of Ryuma, which is the body of a legendary samurai powered by the shadow of Brooke.
Boom, baby.
Zoro fights him and wins and gets a legendary sword as a reward. We meet Perona, who has ghost powers.
For the first power station.
The art of negativity.
Yeah, she can make people become depressed, except it doesn't work on Usopp because he's already depressed.
Because he's already negative.
He's the most negative person on the planet.
We get to see Sniper King, what's at the moment the last time.
Ogeki no shimate. Umareta.
I hear you. Second
Let me just slowly fade that out.
Anything else from Thriller Bark?
Well, that they get their shadows back. Oh, also the part where nothing happened. My favorite part in One Piece.
Nothing happens between Zoro and Bartholomew
has
Kuma.
arrived.
No, nothing happened.
Yeah, between Zoro and Bartholomew Kuma. They just were there and nothing happened.
Yeah, Kuma's amazing.
Which is
guy.
nothing happened is the point where Zoro really shows his loyalty.
Yeah.
That's the point where Zoro's goal goes from becoming the best swordsman to becoming the best swordsman on the Pirate King's crew.
Zip, zoom.
Like that's where Zoro
go
decides
anywhere.
the crew is more important than my life. Because he risks his life there.
Yeehaw.
And he didn't have to.
But he did it anyways. Because he's on the Pirate King's crew.
So after Thriller Bark, we move on to the last pit stop before we have to go underneath the red line that stops everyone from moving past. Samao the Archipelago. Here we get to learn even more of the corruption of the world government, seeing the first world nobles, the first Tenri Vito. We see?
Who I really hate.
Yeah, of course. They are so full of themselves that they refuse to breathe the same air as the regular peasants, so they wear space helmets. What looks like space helmets at least. It's up here, right? I think.
They also have a lot of slaves.
Yeah, they have slaves. We see the slave market,
Yes.
where a friendly mermaid that was going with the straw hats is being sold.
They are having none of it.
They are having none of it, and then a cool old man comes to save the day.
Yeah. Who happens to also be the cool old man that they needed to meet to get their ship coated.
Yes.
Because he's just a cool old man who coats ships.
Yes,
Yeah.
also
Yes.
he manages to break exploding colors without making them explode.
And that's
Using his hands. It's almost like he's using another power system.
yeah.
Papa.
It's also like the point where like he's just a cool old man that coats ships.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's no prehistory
probably
with
doesn't
anything.
even have a past.
Yeah. Definitely nothing special going on
He was
back
probably
there.
even born an old man and has been coding ships the entire time.
Yes.
He definitely didn't get walked up to by some random guy named D. Roger.
Definitely not, that would be weird.
Yeah.
So
Isn't-
where's this hacking pod? Oh, there it is.
It's over there for crying out loud!
My grandpa told me they could kill you. Keep it under suspicion.
There's a turret there next to it.
And then a big series of strong people start showing up. First a bunch of pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't they like show up like all of the new rookies?
Yeah, they show all of the new rookies of note.
I really love them.
Yeah, they're all really cool, they all have
Like,
interesting abilities. And
honestly, I love, and this is partially going out of territory for this video, but I love the rookies from Den way more than, you know, like Keith, a really cool guy. You know, like all the like first gen rookies that you meet are way cooler than the second gen of rookies that you meet post time skip.
What's the second gen of rookies?
Secondary objective completed.
I mean, one of them gets onto their ship post time skip.
Oh,
Yeah, the new set of super rookies.
Yeah, the new set of super
Yeah.
rookies, they're not that cool.
actually there's gonna be a fun one coming up.
Yeah, you're going to meet some more of them.
Yeah, you're also gonna meet the generation of rookies from before
Better stand back.
Luffy,
On the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is the gen that Ace went.
But whilst we're on the archipelago,
So more strong people show up. One of them goes, "Oh!"
oh, and he speaks like this.
And he happens to be an admiral.
Sentry gun needs assembly.
So he's one of the strongest people in the Navy.
Go get him, boy.
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah. Also, Kuma robots show up.
Yeah, Kuma robots. Kuma bots roll out.
Yeah. And then actual Kuma shows up. It saves the Straw Hats by zapping them all away somewhere.
Yeah, he asks them where they would like to go on vacation, and he gives them a free ride. You know, like really nice guy.
Also,
that
Luffy
Kuma.
freaks out because he loses, like, every single one of his crew members disappears in front of his eyes.
Yeah, and then he disappears himself
Yes.
to an island forbidden for men,
Yeah, everyone shows up in a cool spot.
where he starts doing shrooms so much that eventually they start growing.
We have connection. Hacking part.
And the ladies on the island start picking off the shrooms. They find one that doesn't.
Of course,
You're
you
going
like that
at-
joke,
To have
Barry.
that power station.
Such a good one.
Barry.
But it makes so much sense because It's an island forbidden to men, so they wouldn't know. No.
Buddy. Buddy.
But even when they're doing dirty jokes, it's still written really well.
Yeah, of course. Also, the girls on the island have arrows that somehow are able to hurt Luffy. It's almost like they're using a separate power system.
Hacking drone under attack.
And then the queen of the island arrives.
Yes. And her
she's not so
ability
happy.
doesn't work on Luffy because he doesn't give a shit.
Yes. But she's really mad.
Loaded.
Yes.
And they're having a fight.
Yes.
But Luffy already knows that they have a tattoo on their back that the people are not allowed to see.
Yes.
And when it gets exposed during the fight, he hides it.
Because he's a chair.
Then they're like, ah shit, this guy kinda cool.
Yeah. So they become friends.
Yes.
Until they become so good friends that the queen basically sings for him somehow.
Yes.
I still
And then
don't
Luffy
know how that
learns
happened.
that his brother is about to be killed by the world government, so he has to go save him.
Get those bastards over the hacking
So he goes to prison.
So he decides the most logical thing, which is to penetrate the most secure prison on the planet.
All the way down and then all the way back up.
hacking drone is out
Yep.
again.
Impel down.
Basic-
Such a cool arc.
He basically like single-handedly destroyed the entire prison, which had never been breached before, except for once, but the government did that.
It's such a cool arc though, Impel down. We get to
And
meet
then-
a lot of previous villains again. We get to meet Crocodile, most of Baroque works.
Yeah,
Bon Curie, who was captured because he saved the Straw Hats when they were escaping from Alabasta, shows up.
yes,
And he's not even mad about it.
nope. In fact, the chat does it again.
Yes. The absolute legend does it again.
Speeding it up.
In fact, he does it again whilst yelling no regrets.
And then on. Yes. That should do it.
Such
Yeah,
a cool
he's-
guy. We get
He's
to
an
meet
absolute
Jinbei.
chat.
Yes,
Oh,
Jimmy.
Shinbe!
Almost in, team.
Jimmy.
Axel Volta.
An awesome fishman who everyone calls boss, including Luffy. And by the way, side note, Luffy doesn't always call people by their real name. For the very long time, he called Boa Hancock Hammock.
Hammer.
I mean,
but
he just decides what people are called.
Yeah. Luffy is like, I am not bothered to remember your name, so I'm just going to give you a funny name. And then he's like, oh, you're on my crew, I will put effort into
So
remembering
Luffy
your
finds
name.
his way down in his lobby. Impel down.
Impel down.
He gets
Gets-
help from Mr. 2, 3 and Buggy the Clown.
Then he finally finds his way down, but gets poisoned to a deadly amount.
Yes.
But he gets saved.
He gets saved by transgender people.
Yes.
Yes.
Once again, showing that transgender people are great people as well.
Taker is onto
I mean, Bon Clay is transgender as well.
Yeah.
Actually, Bon Clay is non-binary. Bon Clay he doesn't have a gender.
Little bugger.
Yeah.
Also, the leader of the transgender jail people has the power to just change people's gender. Well,
I love
sex,
that.
I guess. Change people's sex. I'm a biologist, I use gender and sex interchangeably, please don't worry about it.
Stand back, supply pod inbound.
Toop, toop, toop.
So, anything about Impel Down, peeps?
It was so fun to watch. It was also one of the first arcs where Luffy didn't beat the main villain.
Yeah, the main villain straight up does not get defeated. They just have to run away.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Bon Clay has to sacrifice himself at the end.
Again.
Yes, and he survives it again. He's still in the prison though.
But he survived.
He just lives in prison.
He's an absolute Chad.
Yes. Impel Down is one of my favorite arcs, definitely.
And then after almost dying and being on the verge of death multiple times,
Yeah. They find out that Ace has already been moved.
oh, Luffy is the only logical thing and goes after them. Once again challenging the world government
Yeah, he
on one
goes
of those
to
three
Yeah, he goes to Marine headquarters.
Teleport these face bombs.
on one of those three islands
got bombs,
that's never been breached. Why?
No, we've got bombs. It's bombs.
I thought you said we have problems.
No. Well, we do have problems, but we always do.
Yeah.
What else is new? So they arrive at the Marine Fort with basically all of the prisoners from Impel Down that they got out.
Yep.
Who at this point think that Bucky is the Messiah.
But he is the Messiah.
He is the
Yeah, he
Messiah.
is.
I mean, he used to be on the Pirate King's crew, you know?
Barry, don't say that.
It's
That's
revealed
too
at
big
the
of a
end
spoiler.
this arc. It's not a spoiler. Bucky the Clown is not a spoiler.
I'm using R.
Yeah, the war is great. So, what's your opinions about the war?
I mean, the war is amazing.
Whitebeard shows up. That's the first time we get to see an emperor in the fight.
Yes. Oh, come on, I am just...
Whitebeard is extremely sick.
Yeah, he's dying.
He's extremely sick and dying, yet he's still the most impressive presence on the field. Whitebeard has the power of earthquakes and can just shift the entire landscape. Whitebeard and all of his allies, which are a lot of them, show up to fight against basically the main force of the world government.
But that's also why they took Ace. So
Yeah.
they wanted to kill Whitebeard.
Great.
Well, and also,
They're coming out the
who Ace's father is, was also a reason why the head hunters wanted him dead.
Oh, of course. Of course, Whitebeard starts to die eventually. He takes a lot of damage. Also, fun fact, Barry,
Yeah.
now that you know what that is. So we learn about Haki in a bit here, after Marine Fort, which is the whole different power system.
Almost like there's an entirely different power system that I've also been using while in this game. I suck at it though, so like I still get hit.
No, so Whitebeard actually tries to use Conqueror's Haki to stop the execution from happening. You see him try, and you see him like kinda like flinch because it's not working because he's not strong enough anymore.
And then Luffy just goes and does it.
The mad lad.
The mad lad doesn't even know what he's doing, but he does it anyways.
Yeah, and then Ace eats a donut, and then we move on.
I'm taking some of the ammo.
Eats a
So
donut?
what?
Yeah, he eats a donut.
Yeah, he eats
No,
donut.
he becomes a donut.
Detroit becomes donut.
Yeah. Fire becomes donut.
Detroit eats becomes donut.
That's for you.
Yeah, so he becomes a donut, which is anime code language. If you watch JoJo's, you know what that means as well.
And
So Luffy loses, Ace dies by the way, if you're not catching up.
yep. And then he goes back to the Snake Island.
No, first he has a mental breakdown and he gets saved by Law, which
Yes.
is one of the other super rookies.
Absolute chat.
Platforms, please.
And they go back to Snake Island.
Yep.
Resupply arrived. Go restock.
With Jinbei. Jinbei is also
Yeah.
with them.
So Jinbei works as Luffy's therapist for a while, and eventually Luffy decides to send a message to the rest of the crew that everyone needs to train for 2
Interrag is
years.
secured, and you've ended their prospecting.
Chat gets a tattoo.
Fine work.
and goes back to the place where he lost his brother to ring a certain bell 16 times.
Yeah, so let's have a short look at all of the others training parts. And then at Sabaody itself, Sabaody Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
So Usopp goes to a carnivorous plant island, becomes really fat, and then becomes really fit with the help of a guy with a cool botanist called Heraclesen. The end is important.
Hang in there.
Yeah, that is very important.
Usopp
Zoro goes to a place where both Perona from
Thriller
Park
Park
and Hawkeye Mihawk are, and he trains under Mihawk for a while. Seemingly, well, yeah, he goes and trains for Mihawk for a while.
Mule is returning to LZ. Drop pod departing
Chopper is on an
in
island
5
full of
minutes.
tribal doctors
and giant
And
birds.
birds.
and giant birds.
But they're at war. And then they're no longer at war.
Nami is on a sky island, no, not that one.
A different one.
Yeah, full of weather scientists.
And she's
Robin is
learning
on a
about
giant
all new
bridge.
sorts of weather.
Yeah, Robin is on a place called Tequila Wolf, which is a giant bridge that's being built on order of the Tenryubito in between two islands. No one even remembers why.
Supply pod requisitioned. Launching
Yep,
now.
but they're doing it anyways, and they're using slaves.
Yeah, they're using slaves, and it's been literal generations of slaves that have been building that.
Supplies are on the way.
Resupply pod is here.
She also ends up joining up with the Revolutionary Army.
Is on the way. Roger that. Supplies are coming.
Frankie is on an old lab from a guy called Professor Vegapunk, which is the main science guy of the world government.
The mule
And then he blows it up.
retrieved.
Then he blows it up by pressing the pirate button.
Hang around forever.
Yes.
Yo Barry, watch out. And he upgrades his body with technology that he finds there.
Yep.
Frankie is on the headquarters of the global transgender people.
No, that's Sanji.
Yeah, Sanji. I meant
Yeah, Sanji's at the headquarters of the global transgender people.
yeah, which the king, queen shows up there again eventually as well.
Yep. And he has to go through hell to fight.
Yeah, they also work for the Revolutionary Army. The king, queen.
T-minus 3
Yep.
minutes.
Brook becomes a musician of rock and roll,
Yeah,
slavery.
he gets captured by Satan worshippers, and then becomes a slave musician. Did we miss anyone?
Retrieving state.
Well, Zoro,
I don't think we missed anyone.
we did Chopper, we did Robin, we did Brook.
We also have to finish it off by our friendly old man swimming all the way through the calm belt.
To the calm belt, which is full of giant monsters just swimming casually to the Snake Island.
And
Yeah, of course, don't you do that?
And he trains Luffy in the art
Yeah,
of...
he trains Luffy.
Yeah, he trains Luffy in the art of a whole entire power system that's been there the entire time.
Yes, but only teach him the basics.
Yeah, he teaches him the basics. Alright, anything else, guys? Anything else we want to say before we end the video?
Yeah, watch One Piece. It might be really long.
Yeah, take your
Just like
time.
this episode,
watch
but
an
watch it.
arc and then watch something else. Take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Take your
mean,
time.
I've been watching One Piece over the past
Yeah, you don't have to rush.
3 years or so.
Yeah, and Barry's been going at a pretty high speed because he's trying to catch up to us.
Well, I mean, I only watched like the last 200-300 episodes in the last 3-4 months.
Yeah, but even
Because
before
at that
I would
point,
say
it actually started getting interesting to me. So,
yeah, before that it was good, and after that it's great.
it's great.
So
I restarted watching at was it Impel Down?
It was before Sabody.
yeah.
Yeah, before Subody. And that's when it really got interesting to me.
So, for your information, the next video will cover everything from this point to the end of Dressrosa for people who want to know. Barry's not there yet, so there obviously will be other reviews in between.
Unless
Anything
Barry is
else?
a mad lad and decides to watch all of it.
No.
How many episodes is that?
Dressrosa on its own is more than 100.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, that's gonna be a while. There's other reviews in between here. Doesn't matter though. We have time. Would be boring if we were just only reviewing One Piece.
Yeah, of course. Next
But I
we will
guess-
review.
Anybody got anything to say before we pop up the end screen, the score screen for the score discussion?
Nah,
Love One Piece.
It's a
For the
great
One
show.
Piece.
Would highly
Great world building, great storytelling, great
watch it
characters.
again.
Everybody has.
Yeah, let's bring that up. Arguably, One Piece has some of the best world building out there.
Yeah.
So,
And
obviously, it's all a bit silly, because that's the point of the series. It's like it's not completely serious. But, other than in. Like, as opposed to most other series, things happen irrelevant of what the main characters are doing.
yeah. Yeah, like the world building in One Piece is amazing, and I already knew that.
Like,
But-
you can learn about stuff that happens in the background by just paying attention to what's in the newspapers the characters read.
Alright, we're on the scoring screen. And
Alright.
it's actually good mic quality Barry and Simli here.
Alright, no longer Discord audio that I captured.
Yeah.
As you can see, we gave a general score of good. You have seen this in the first episode as well if you watched it.
I
But
mean,
let's
this-
go over our different categories. So let's start with design, which is the general design of the world and set pieces and stuff like that. Now, One Piece has very unique locations and very interesting designs, but they start popping up more in the second half of the show. So here it's mostly normal locations and then some weird and interesting spots.
Yeah, like any lobby.
Yeah, Innis Lobby, Reversed Mountain, Sabaody, the whale. That's the main interesting spot. Whiskey Peak with the cactuses of graves. Like, that's the main interesting design spots here. So let's roll up to the visuals, which is split into a few things. As you can see, we labeled the visuals as niche. That's because, well, it's a very old show and it shows in the early episodes. Later on, the quality goes up.
I mean, the first like few hundred episodes are like I think it's 3:4 aspect ratio, which is
Yeah.
square.
Basically
But
square.
back then televisions were that shape, so
Yeah.
and the pixel quality also is lower, which makes sense.
It still
They
looks
do.
fine though.
I do like that, like for important scenes they up the quality, you know, like
Yeah.
raising the FPS or raising the visual quality.
Yeah. Bit more lighting.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we get to world building. Now that's one of the strengths of One Piece. We've talked about that plenty in the video itself.
The entirety of One Piece is just world building.
And then we get to the story, which is split into the plot, the tone, and the theme. Now the tone in One Piece is very interesting. One Piece can go from very dark to very happy really fast. And by doing that, it kind of masks like the dark moments. You never feel bad watching One Piece for a long time, because like they follow up the sad or like, yeah, the sad or dark moments with some happy stuff immediately after.
Indeed.
Yeah, they really found a good balance.
Now, plot is the lowest score in story, and that's because that's not the main part here in One Piece. It's the themes, which is mostly themes of discrimination and corruption in One Piece. And the tone of One Piece, of course, and then it's mainly characters. The plot is not that important, it's we're going somewhere, basically.
Yeah.
And then there's mini side quests on the way there.
Oh
a
yeah,
journey.
side quest.
And we
I
get
like
to
it.
the acting. So the main thing with the acting is, it's good enough that you don't notice that there's acting happening. For the most part.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, like it's not top-notch acting, but it's good acting, and it gets better throughout the series as well, because it's the same people playing the characters, so they get better at it.
Indeed.
And that brings us to our final category, which is characters, which is split into design, role, and personality.
The
So
design.
The design, go ahead.
The design of the characters is pretty good.
Yeah, they're all recognizable.
They're all recognizable, yeah.
I think the designs become a bit more unique after the time skip.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Like, they're pretty generic looking at first.
I mean,
They play
you
their
have
roles
Buggy.
well. What?
You have Buggy's design. He's like the most unique in the beginning.
He's pretty up there.
Just a clown.
They all played their roles pretty well as well.
Mm-hmm.
They all have specific jobs on the crew. This is what they do.
You can
you're
kind
not-
of like expect what they're gonna be doing.
Yeah. Like, you're never gonna see, like, a problem show up and you're gonna be like, why is Sanji solving this? Because you know why Sanji is solving this, because that's his role.
Well, sometimes you get that.
Well, sometimes, but then that's played for jokes on purpose.
Yes.
Then personality, which is the highlight, all of the characters are great. I like them.
Yep.
They've all got unique personalities. It's not like we've got two of the same guy happening somewhere.
Not as far as I know.
Well, except for background characters, but that's background characters.
Those are just all clones of Nami.
Oh, you have
Not
normal
not
Nami,
just the
you
not
have
just
blue
the
Nami,
women,
you
but
have
the
pink
men and the
Nami.
children too.
Especially Whitebeard. Clearly a clone of
Yeah.
Alright, any closing thoughts before we round off this video, lads?
I'm just gonna say it again. Watch One Piece.
Do it. Take your time, like, watch an arc and then go do something else for like 3 months and then come back. You've got time.
I mean, I just finished another arc.
You finished Punk Hazard.
Yeah.
So
And-
next stuff would be Dressrosa, but it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna take a few months.
Yeah. You've got
Fair
time.
enough.
I've got time. I'm still
Alright, with that being said, we'll see you next time.